Now let us talk about learning. So here we will be talking about what learning is, who is a learner, and what are the characteristics of a learner. It is not actually a very simple topic. The characteristics of a learner means we have to understand the learner and then teach something to him or her. So that is called learner's characteristics, or the characteristics of a learner. So we will be looking at what learning is, what are the different levels of learning, what is the definition of learning, and basically what are the different characteristics that a learner has and which should be known by the teacher so that he or she can teach well. So let us start. Who is a learner? A learner, in simple terms, a learner is someone who is consistently learning, who is consistently acquiring new knowledge, who is consistently acquiring new skills. So in a sense, everyone is a learner, because we will be learning about new things in as day passes by, as years go on, we will be learning new things, we will be learning new skills, we will be acquiring knowledge, we will be acquiring experiences. So in a way all of us are learners, but in a in this context we can say that learning can be described as the process of acquiring new skills or modifying existing skills, acquiring new knowledge or modifying the existing knowledge, acquiring new values, acquiring new behaviors, acquiring new preferences, etc. So whatever we get as a new thing, whatever we acquire as a new thing, it may be knowledge, it may be a value, it may be a skill, it may be a change in preference, anything. So all of this comes under learning. So if we get something new, it is actually called, if we get something new because of our effort, it is actually called learning. So we have some definitions. The term learning covers every modification in behavior to meet environmental requirements. So because of learning, there should be a modification in our behavior, there should be a positive change in our behavior. Another definition: learning is the acquisition of new behavior or the strengthening of old behavior as a result of experience. So either we get a new behavior or we modify, either strengthen or weaken the old behavior that we have, and all this happens because of experience. So learning happens as time goes on, as we go by. So learning is strongly based on the intellectual level. So how much a person can grasp, how much a person can learn, it is all based on his intellectual level. So learning basically has a learner basically has some common characteristics. I will read it out to you. They are all very simple general characteristics of a learner, not the characteristics that we are going to talk about soon, but some general characteristics. They are persistent. A learner should be persistent. He should make use of this knowledge. Then he or she should share the knowledge. They should be free from negative emotions like jealousy, anger, greed, pride, etc. They should find time for reading, analyzing and evaluating. They should enjoy learning. They should seek to learn new things. When they learn something, it's not that like it's over. No, they should seek to learn new things. They should have the interest to learn new things. They should easily adjust to change, and they should associate and apply the knowledge in the in their daily application. They should apply this knowledge and they should update continuously. So these are some general characteristics of a learner. Going deep inside, we have 4 type of characteristics that a learner might have, and a teacher what he or she has to do is to understand these characteristics of a learner and then teach accordingly. So I will give you an example. There are actually 4 type of characteristics that a learner has, apart from the general characteristics that we just talked about. There are personal characteristics, academic characteristics, social or emotional characteristics, and cognitive characteristics. So we have to see what each learner has, or which of these characteristics each learner has, and then we have to provide our teaching methods, provide our teaching aids, provide a syllabus in such a way that every learner can get an advantage. So in personal characteristics, it includes the demographic information such as age, gender, cultural background, language, socio-economic status, specific needs of a learner group, particular skills, particular abilities, particular disabilities. So all this comes under personal characteristics. So for age, we know that small children should be taught small things, as they as they evolve, as they mature, as they grow old, we teach them advanced skills, advanced learning skills. So that is that is actually an example of a personal characteristics. Then comes the socio-economic status. So a person coming from a very backward area might not understand our lingos, our language, our linguistic terms and all, so he or she should be taught in such a way. A person with a disability, he or she should be considered. So these are all personal characteristics, whatever I said right now: the age, gender, cultural background, socio-economic status, disabilities, skills and all personal characteristics. So a teacher has to be concerned about it. A teacher has to consider this while giving lessons or while teaching. The next comes the academic characteristics. Academic characteristics, the examples are learning goals, prior knowledge, education level, etc. So if a person has prior knowledge, it becomes easy for the teacher. If a person has a very high education level, it becomes easy for the teacher. If a person has a proper learning goal, why he is learning, if he is determined, if he is he has willpower, he is determined to learn it, he has a goal for learning, it becomes easy for the teacher. But if not, every class is not the same, every student is not the same. So if not, all these differ. Some students will have prior knowledge, some students will not have prior knowledge. So the teacher should understand all this and then take classes. Next is the social or the emotional characteristics. It is the relation of a group or an individual with a group, self-image, sociability, mood, etc. So how a person perceives himself, how a person perceives the society, what is that person's mood, what is that person's self-image, what is that person's social status. So considering all this, the teacher has to take class. This is not that much important, but still it can affect the learner. If he is not in a good mood, if there is something bothering him or her, what happens is he will not learn properly, or he will not learn the way that we want to. So it changes. So the teacher should also be concerned about social or emotional characteristics of a learner. Then the last one comes cognitive characteristics. So it includes memory power, mental pressure, problem solving ability, intellectual skill, attention span, remembering span, then storing the ability to store or organize information, and all these a bit high level characteristics. So this one, what happens is, if a person has proper cognitive characteristics, he can become himself, the learner himself can become a teacher, because that is actually an advanced skill. The cognitive skills are actually advanced skills. The person can remember, the person can memorize, the person can handle mental pressures, he can organize information, he can store information. So all these. So if a person cannot do all this, the teacher has to consider them, and the teacher has to take classes accordingly. So these are the what learning is and the characteristics of a learner. Next comes the levels of learning. So how can you learn, or how can a learner approach a teacher? How can a learner approach a teaching method? So those are actually called levels of learning. So here we have two types. One is a person called Robert Gagne, his 9 levels of teaching, and the other one is a very important one, which is called the Bloom's taxonomy. That is a 6 level teaching. So one is a 9 level teaching, one is a 6 level teaching. So both of these, what happens is, it is based on the learner's levels. So a learner is in which level, a learner how far has he improved, or how far has he gone. So all these are understood by the levels of learning. Let's look at the first one, the Robert Gagne's 9 levels of learning. So the first one is reception. So in reception, what happens is, the teacher is gaining the attention of students. He gives an introduction video, he gives some handouts, some notes, some printouts, or something like that. Then expectancy. The second one is expectancy. The teacher informs the students that what they are going to study today, or what they are going to study in this class, what they are going to study in this semester. So the teacher gives, it's sort of like a syllabus. The teacher gives them, or the teacher explains to them what they are supposed to expect from his class or from the subject. The next one is a retrieval. So retrieval means the teacher is trying to retrieve the previous knowledge of the students. How far or how much does the student know about this particular subject? How much has the student studied in previous classes about this subject? Then comes the selective perception. It means to present information in an effective and easy to understand manner. So what happens is, at first the teacher comes in, he gives an introduction, maybe a video, maybe a joke, maybe a question, maybe a printout or anything like that. Then he tells them what to expect, that is expectancy. Then he tries to recollect what all the students know from their previous classes. Then he gives them the present class, or presents the information in an effective way. Then comes semantic encoding. It helps to retain information by examples, stories, case studies, etc. So along with the fourth one, the selective perception, along with teaching the class, the teacher, what he does is, what he or she does is, he gives examples, he gives case studies, stories, maybe questions or anything like that, so that the class becomes interesting, the class becomes lively, the children are able to understand and remember better. Then comes responding. So students demonstrate what they have learned, maybe ask questions and then get answers, maybe something, the students respond or gives the feedback, or we know whether the student has understood or not. So the students respond to whatever they have been taught. Then reinforcement, so that is provide feedback to the students based on their response. So whatever the student has responded here, the teacher again gives feedback to the students, that is actually called reinforcement. Then comes retrieval, again retrieval. So retrieval means, at first we actually check the prior knowledge of the student, here we check the current knowledge of the student. So current knowledge of the student. So at first what happens is, the child has some previous knowledge, and because of selective perception, because of semantic encoding, because of responding, because of reinforcement, we have added to that prior knowledge, and then we are trying to retrieve again. There is a process called retrieval again. It means that the teacher is trying to assess the information of the student. This is done through tests, examinations, internal exams, maybe some quizzes, viva, etc. So the teacher is again trying to assess the new information that is given by the teacher. The last one is generalization. In generalization, what happens is, the students try to apply whatever they have studied in their real life. So this is Robert Gagney's 9 levels of learning. We have reception, expectancy, retrieval, selective perception, semantic encoding, responding, reinforcement, retrieval, and generalization. You will get your notes in front of you, so you can you can have a look and then read whatever it is. It is actually very easy to understand. The next level of learning comes from, as I said, Bloom's taxonomy. So it is actually a very important part of teaching. It's very easy actually, but it is very important. Here Bloom's taxonomy, we have 6 levels of learning. We have the first one, to remember. A person or a child, what happens is, at his first stage, at a very low stage or a lower level, a child just tries to remember stuff. He just tries to memorize stuff. He repeats it, he recites it, and then remembers it. He just a memorization is there. He does not know the concepts, he does not understand what is there, he cannot analyze what is there, he just remembers. The second step is understanding what the facts actually mean, or what these figures mean. So it is actually understanding. So in many cases, many teachers, what happens is, they let the students remember, they let the students understand, and that's it. They do not go further from there. If the students understood everything, then fine, we'll go to the next topic. No, it's not like that. There are actually still 4 more levels of teaching actually. So only when these 6 levels are complete, a student, we can actually say that a student has the power to use his knowledge anywhere. The third one is actually apply. Apply means to apply the facts, rules, concepts and ideas in his daily life. Okay, the third one is apply. The fourth one is to analyze. Analyze means breaking down information into components, to analyze everything, to know what has happened there, to compare, to contrast and everything. Then comes evaluate, judging the value of information. How much is this useful for me? Why should I use this knowledge? Why should I use this information that I've just got? He is evaluating. And where should I use this? How should I use this knowledge? So that is called actually evaluating. So a child remembers, he understands, he applies it to a situation, he analyzes, he breaks it down and then analyzes the parts, he evaluates how to use this, where to use this, or why should I use this, and at last what happens is create. A child tries to create an exact thing what a teacher has created. For example, if you are teaching about advertising, so what happens is, firstly a child tries to remember. He as we say in our language, he by hearts it. he tries to learn it by heart. He memorizes it, he repeats it, and then he what he says, he or she tries to remember what has been taught. Then he or she tries to understand it, what is actually being taught, what is the meaning of this concept. Then he tries to apply it in his real life. Okay, fine, I've seen this advertisement here, so this is that what that means. This advertisement means this advertisement, this marketing means this advertisement that I've heard on the radio, that I've seen on the he tries to apply it in his real life. Then he analyzes it. What does this actually mean? What is this advertisement? Why is this advertisement being given? So whatever I have studied in the textbook, whatever I have studied in the classroom, has this does this have a connection with what I have seen on the TV, or what are the advertisement that I have seen? He tries to analyze what he has studied. Then comes evaluating. He actually evaluates the value, or he tries to judge the value of what he has learned. By learning this, has this increased my information, has this increased my knowledge, can I actually create an advertisement which is as good as this is, can I actually use this information to create an advertisement? So he tries to evaluate whatever he has learned, and at last create. So a child should actually be able to create a proper advertisement, or he should be able to create a proper advertisement strategy, an advertisement method. He should be able to tell someone how to make an advertisement. So that is actually create. So this is Bloom's taxonomy, or Bloom's 6 levels of learning, where a child should be able to remember, he or she should be able to understand, they should be able to apply, analyze, evaluate, and finally create something out of the knowledge that they have understood or they have applied. So these are some levels of learning. The next topic in this area is the individual differences among learners. So in learning, what happens is the teacher, normally in many cases what happens is the teacher just tries to explain something, and if some people or if some students say that okay fine, we have understood it, the teacher moves on. So it's not actually like that. There is no as we say that there is no one size fits all. That concept is not actually ready, or it's not actually very applicable in the case of learning. It should not be there. There is no one size fits all. Each student is different. Each student has his or her own differences. So you buy a shirt of a size, and then you try to put it on every student. So it does not fit. Similarly, the teaching method also, some methods may be beneficial for some students, but still some other students might not understand. So you try to make them understand through some other methods, then there will still be some other students who don't understand. So you have to give individual attention to every student, because there are differences among every individual student. So what are some individual differences that we have? One is intelligence. Intelligence means the ability to understand or the ability to grasp. Some students might be very intelligent, some might not be. So it's not like students who are not intelligent, they are not part of the class, the teacher mocks them sometimes. No, we have to understand that he is a person who does not have that much ability to grasp, and then teach him in that way. Then the second one is aptitude. Aptitude means ability to do something. Even though a student is able to understand, he might not be able to do something. That is the case when the teachers take seminars in class. A student might be able to understand, he or she might be able to listen, he or she might be able to remember, but when we call him or her in front of the class, he or she is not able to take a seminar, he or she is not able to talk to the class. So it means that they lack aptitude. So there will be students who lack aptitude, who has high aptitude also. So a teacher should be in that way striking a balance between those two. Then there will be age differences among the students. The higher the age, the lesser your curiosity will be. When you will be in the lower classes, you will be very curious to learn and all, but as you go on and on and on, what happens is your interest to study will decrease. So the teacher has to understand that. Then motivation. So each student has a different motivation level. Each student should be motivated in a different way. Some students you tell them about the salary that they're going to get, they'll be motivated. Some students you tell them about the parents that are waiting at home, the parents that have spent money on them, they'll get motivated. Some students you tell about the success they're going to get in future, they'll be motivated. So each student is different. Understand that and motivate them in that particular way. Then another individual difference is personality. Some students might have a very great personality, some might not. So we'll try to change it and bring them together. Then prior knowledge. Some students will have learnt whatever we are going to teach in class. They might have learnt in previous classes, they might have learnt through personal readings, or they might have learnt through their schools, but some students might not. So that difference also we should try to overcome. Then learning style. Different students have different learning styles. Some students learn based on their phones. Some students learn based on internet. Some students they still follow the old textbook method. We cannot say that anyone is wrong. Whichever the student feels comfortable, that's fine with them, but we have to understand that each student has different learning styles. We also have students who can only study with music playing on. So if that is the case, then let it be. We just want our student to able to understand things. He or she should be able to apply things. He or she should be able to create new things. That's what we want. So he or she can learn in any way possible. Then attitude. Some students are open minded, some students are close minded, some are extroverts, some are introverts. As I said before, understand the differences among them and try to teach in that way. Then some people learn in a good environment, maybe alone. Some students only if they have someone with them they can study. Some students can only learn alone. Some might go for combined studies, some might go to a library. So it's all different. Then the last difference is actually physiological difference, maybe health difference. Some students have poor eyesight, so they should be considered. Some students may have poor health, so extra care should be given. So what all this means is there are individual differences among students, and a teacher who is being a knowledge provider should be able to understand the difference between the learners, should be able to understand the difference between the students, and then provide knowledge on that basis.